Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. Um, Guys, today is Friday. It's the last day of the week, but if you are someone like myself, even a little bit, maybe a lot, you are a creator, you are self-employed, you are working on your business or on your big idea. Maybe you're still working for someone else, but you're also working on something that you truly love. And maybe you have a lot of side projects. Maybe you just need to get done a lot of things. Maybe you are a busy mom. Not sure exactly who is in my audience, and it seems to be growing. So guys, whoever you are, if you need to get things done and if you want to change things in your life, if you want to accomplish things, don't you sometimes wish you'll be a little bit more driven? Like you wake up and you're like, I'm ready to go and I want to get it done with this kind of attitude. And you meet these people, and I'm kind of like one of those people. I haven't always been this way, but now I'm like that if I have a good night's sleep, and I make sure that on most nights I do have a good night's sleep. So I wake up and I'm like, what can I do today? What's the plan for today? Change the world, right? And I'm not just ready to talk about it, I'm also ready to sit down and get things done, be that writing an article or a proposal for my talk, or working on clients' files and figuring things out for my clients, how to solve their issues or problems, or how to help them reach their goals and aspirations. A lot of different projects, some of them I'm excited about, some of them not so much, but I am excited in getting things moving. And also, I'm excited about the vision that I have in my head for my life and for my service that I want to deliver into this world, helping to change our food system. So everyone uses nutrition as a tool to make ourselves better and our work better and our life better. Food is so much than just flavor and taste and another meal. It's everything we are, because we are built from what we put on our plate. Guys, today I'm sitting in front of my laptop, trying to figure out also how to speak into the microphone so you could hear me well. And the reason why I'm sitting there, I was doing research about dopamine diet. Dopamine is that molecule that keeps and makes us feel driven and ready to go. It helps us to feel more motivated to go after things, especially things that require effort, not just, laying on the couch. You don't need much dopamine for that. But if you have a goal, a vision in mind, if you need to get something done, feeling up for it and wanting to do so, a lot of it has to do with dopamine levels that your brain can produce, can maintain, and also dopamine receptors. We're not going to get into neurochemistry of that, but you want to understand that it's a neurotransmitter, dopamine. It's a neurotransmitter in your brain. It helps to send messages between neurons, between nerve cells. And when we have a lot of it and everything is working well, we are feeling driven and up for a challenge to get things done. When we don't have a lot of it, we start cutting corners. We start thinking about how we can do less work but still get rewards, or at least get pleasure. That's why people who for some reason don't produce enough dopamine or have skewed dopamine balance or something wrong with their dopamine receptors, they tend to seek behaviors and engage in behaviors that give a lot of pleasure, reward without much work, like eating highly palatable foods. And in itself, might be not such a bad thing. Although, if you only engage in things that give you pleasure and require little effort, well, where in life are you going to be? Like, what can you achieve with none to little effort and just seeking pleasure, right? Doesn't usually lead people to good places. And especially, again, if you do sincerely want to get things done, then dopamine is your molecule, is your neurotransmitter. And guess what, guys? We are more likely to make enough of it when we eat certain foods. And so I was reading some stuff about neuroscience and dopamine-rich foods and what other people recommend to eat for more dopamine, at least for a chance to make more dopamine and feel more driven. Because at the end of the day, you never know how your body gonna, like how much protein, how much dopamine you're going to produce, how much drive your brain will be able to make out of the foods you eat. But if you don't provide all the necessary ingredients, then forget about it. You don't even hope. You can't even hope without taking actions, taking the right kind of action. So the point is, guys, you want to get things done. You want to feel more driven, like naturally, genuinely feeling like I want to do this stuff, even though I know it's hard, but I want to do this. I woke up and I'm ready to go. Like if you want to feel more like that on Friday and on Saturday, on Sunday, whatever that day might be, when you need to get things done, even it might be, weekend and everyone is talking about Friday night. If you need to get things done, you need to feel that drive. You need to have that motivation. You need to have that dopamine. And for that, you need to eat certain foods. And dopamine diet, what you can call it, is pretty simple actually, but a lot of people mess it up these days for one reason or the other, either going plant-based and vegan or just not caring about your nutrition enough. Although if you're on this podcast, you probably do care about your nutrition, but you still might be making mistakes. Like not all of us work as a nutritionist or a nutrition and health coach, right? You have other things to think about besides figuring out the food and all the nutrition intricacies. But so you're here. So I'm just going to give you all the practical stuff. So eating for dopamine, eating for drive to get things done easier and feeling up for it. Like I want to do this, I'm ready to do this, and I'm doing this. So that's what the dopamine diet is all about. And it's about a few things. Simple, really simple. First of all, protein rich. Dopamine is made, there are a few things, but to make dopamine, we need this amino acid or a part of a protein, L-tyrosine. And it's specifically rich in animal-based protein-rich foods. So especially lean protein-rich foods. Things like lean chicken or beef or pork, but also things like salmon. And we have L-tyrosine in eggs and in high protein yogurt and some cheeses. And so for breakfast, you want to make sure that you eat enough protein. I recommend to always include eggs because eggs, for example, they also have additional benefits for the brain. They have another neurotransmitter or chemical to make neurotransmitter that helps you to pay attention to the relevant stuff and to not pay attention to all the noise. So it kind of makes you undistractable or indestructible. You're not easily distracted, but naturally. You don't need to use apps or some techniques or maybe Pomodoro technique, maybe of putting all of your devices like your phone in the other room or like a friend of mine does on the roof. He hides it there, so he has to walk there. So being naturally focused, eggs have additional element to make that happen. So eggs, right? But I recommend having a couple of eggs, but then also adding something like maybe salmon for additional fatty acids that the brain also needs to do its best work. So what would I suggest? A couple of eggs, a couple of sardines. You can buy canned sardines in almost every part of the world, and they have electrolytes, neurotransmitter substances to make neurotransmitters and omega-3 fatty acids and additional protein. So I would definitely recommend to go for a couple of eggs, maybe a couple of sardines or a piece of salmon. Another part of staying driven and helping your brain to do its work for prolonged period of time. For most brains, for optimized performance of most brains, we need some blood glucose or blood sugar circulating, and circulating in a steady manner, not with spikes and crashes. Blood sugar is fuel for our neurons. Our brain, our neurons are very sensitive to blood glucose levels, and we need, again, to maintain them steady. That is the key that a lot of people get wrong these days, because people eat breakfast cereals full of sugar, or some bagel or croissant that have carbohydrates, and they're gonna bring your blood sugar up and feed your brain for a while, but then you're gonna crash because those are highly processed and fast carbohydrates. So what do you want to have instead? For additional benefits of other neurotransmitters and to keep the blood glucose steady, I recommend having chickpeas, sweet potatoes, and yeah, these are my favorite foods actually, chickpeas and sweet potatoes, or banana. Those foods have specific amino acids that additionally help you to produce serotonin that helps to regulate mood. And kind of when you're driven, you also want to be optimistic, right? So if you produce more serotonin, that helps you to stay in a better mood and reduce anxieties. Wouldn't you say that's also a benefit for your drive, to be also optimistic about the results of your work, and maybe even be a little bit more confident? That also has to do with the foods you eat. So chickpeas, sweet potatoes, bananas, because they're also rich in fibers and certain vitamins that the brain needs to make those other neurotransmitters like serotonin. But then other slow carbohydrates, like maybe whole corn, either in a salad or on the cob, or lentils or beans. What else is slow? Whole grains like quinoa, for example, right? They also will help you to maintain certain blood glucose levels, and they will help you to fuel your brain in a steady manner. So you're not just driven for like the next 30 minutes, but actually you can sit for at least the next 90 minutes, because the brain also works in cycles. A little bit more science today, guys. But usually, like, for example, you can go for a 90-minute cycle of intense brain work, and you can take a break for 5-10 minutes, and you can go for another cycle if you fuel your brain in the right manner. So you're driven, you're focused, you are optimistic, you are full of energy. So to get all of these states and benefits, and you gotta eat this kind of foods, and you're more likely to get into this state much easier, which with much less effort and other skills that I personally find not that essential once you know how to feed your brain. I don't use many tools or anything. I just know how to feed and fuel my brain, and I kind of naturally driven and focused. But again, there is nothing natural about it, but because I used to be not that person. It was easy for me to get distracted and do many unrelated to my work and my objectives, my goals, things. And yeah, I was like all active, but not for the right thing. So let's get back to it. For breakfast, you want to have some eggs. I would suggest adding a side serving of salmon. We're gonna have some sweet potatoes or chickpeas. Those are ideal. By the way, guys, you can cook that in advance. You don't have to make it all at breakfast. You can cook or bake a lot of sweet potatoes and keep them in the fridge. You can cook a lot of chickpeas and keep it in the fridge. You can pre-boil eggs and keep them in the fridge. They all stay good for many days, at least 3-4 days, right? So you can do it like once in a couple of times per week. And then we have greens that have antioxidants and some other compounds that are super beneficial for a highly productive and healthy brain. So when it comes to veg, we already kind of covered fiber with all the sweet potatoes, and our chickpeas, fiber that will feed our gut, but also slow down the absorption of carbohydrates. So we don't need that much fiber in our breakfast anymore. So now we can add something for just additional boost of antioxidants to protect our brain and additional boost of nutrients. It seems from all this data we have that the more green vegetables and more antioxidants we include in our diet, the better our brain works. Not just short term, but what's more important, long term. So you're going to have a healthy, fast, robust, and productive brain for many, many years ahead of you. And that's important, of course, for all of us if you want to feel like you're living your life to the fullest many years from now. So let's get back to it. I suggest adding spinach to your breakfast. And again, you can pre-cook it for a couple of days, 2-3 days, but it's also very easy to cook. You can eat it fresh also. Some people like adding fresh baby spinach to their breakfast. You can also come up with some smoothie with protein powder, for all the dopamine, with spinach, adding some things like walnuts for healthy fats, with eggs, maybe eating a couple of eggs on the side. That can also work, can be an option, green smoothie with some blueberries and cacao that we're going to talk in a minute, and a couple of eggs. That can also be an amazing breakfast, and banana there, for all the serotonin and vitamins needed to create dopamine. So, but let's first finish our first breakfast. You're going to have a couple of eggs. You're going to have something like sweet potato or some other starchy, fibrous carbohydrate. I would add some salmon or sardines on the side. We're gonna have some spinach, either fresh or cooked. And I would throw in a couple of other ingredients, coffee and dark chocolate. I would go at least 85% because that's where a lot of studies agree that the darker the chocolate is better. I mean, this is non-negotiable actually. But some studies say, okay, like 70% chocolate is okay. A lot of studies have also said that a higher percentage is needed to get the benefits, depending, I guess, also on how much chocolate you eat, but you don't want to be eating a lot of chocolate every day for many reasons. So anyhow, caffeine in a form of coffee that has also neuroprotective or brain protective effect. Not a lot, that's important, because caffeine helps you to stay focused, but only to a point until it gives you more jitters and anxiety. So ideally, you would have like an espresso in the morning. That's it, that's your caffeine. Dark chocolate also has caffeine, but not as much. Dark chocolate, why it's important, it increases blood circulation to your brain. So all the nutrients we're talking about, you want to deliver them via blood flow, and you want to deliver oxygen to make energy in the brain. And brain is also very oxygen sensitive, right? So the more oxygen in our brain tissue, the more awake, alert, and focused we will feel. So chocolate is good for that reason. It increases blood circulation towards our brain with all the nutrients, oxygen, and it's going to also help you to stay focused and alert for longer. Caffeine brings up your adrenaline levels. That also helps you to stay more alert. But with adrenaline and coffee, there is a sweet spot. Not too much, not too little. One espresso, maybe a couple. But if you are already kind of on ADHD spectrum, then probably one espresso is all you need, and without sugar. So one espresso, 30 grams or 1 ounce of dark chocolate. I would consider 85% or more. I go for 100%. And that's going to be your breakfast. Some eggs, some salmon or sardines on the side. We have our sweet potatoes or chickpeas on some other carbohydrate and fiber rich food. We have our spinach, didn't mention spinach, and we have caffeine and dark chocolate. Do this and see how you're just gonna flow and drive through your morning with a lot of that's the key, important things done, not just things done, not just being active, but staying focused on things that are important, and getting them done, no matter how challenging they can feel. And with the right kind of diet, they will feel less challenging. And let me just briefly walk you through another option for this breakfast. So you pre-boil a couple of eggs for the calling or spotlight on the important things to tune out the noise, right? A couple of eggs pre-boiled, because then you can pre-boil a lot of them and keep them in the fridge instead of having to make scramble every time. So a couple of eggs, and then we're going to make a smoothie, and that smoothie would have, some water or something like almond or coconut unsweetened milk. We're going to have a banana for fiber, for blood glucose, for carbohydrates. We're going to have some cacao powder. That's for all the increased blood flow. We're going to have some spinach there. You can also throw in some spirulina, stuff like that. And last but not least, you can also throw in some blueberries that are also a brainy berry. You don't have to use blueberries, but they are also very beneficial, proven to be very beneficial for brain function, short and long term, with a lot of antioxidants, right? So that smoothie, again, spinach, some liquid to blend it all, banana, and protein powder. That's what I forgot. Also add some protein powder for even more dopamine. Make sure it's without sugar, a couple of boiled eggs, and an espresso. And here you go. You have another option for a driven, motivated breakfast for Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, whatever morning you need to make driven. For me, it's like every morning, even if it's day off, I want to be driven to go on adventures instead of just laying on the couch. And sometimes you need to lay on the couch too, but more often than not, I find when I go on adventures and go through experiences, it's much more rewarding and refreshing, and boosts my creativity and mental health and my mood. Anyhow, I want to have drive and motivation for that too, so I'm gonna make my dopamine and driven breakfast every single day. And that's it for today, guys. If you didn't catch something, please re-listen to this episode. Please share this episode with your teammates, because if you are working together on some project, you want all of your teammates to be driven, not just you. It's going to make things so much easier if all of you are driven and motivated and get the right things done instead of being distracted all over social media, right? So share this with your teammates today. If you have any questions about anything, please use the form linked in the show notes and put your question there. I'm going to be checking all the forms this Sunday. So if you've submitted something and I haven't replied, so I'm going to reply this Sunday. Please re-listen to memorize this information. Please put it into practice. If you have questions, reach out, share with your teammates so you fly through your projects. And have an awesome weekend, guys. It's schedule something interesting, refreshing, to boost your creative muscle and just to feel that you're alive. And it's time for me to wrap it up. So until next time, eat better, more driven breakfast.